Right, good morning, welcome back. Now, need to have a shunt round to start today's shenanigans. I'm going to put something meaningful on the board, then shift the Goldwing frame off the grey lift, put the Triumph onto the red lift, because it's time to start the process of putting those glorious new Scrambler wheels into the Legend, but not before we've had a brew. Okay, now I referred to the fitting of the wheels into this bike as a process because it is going to be a little bit of a process. There's a few jobs to do. Let's just quickly reference the front first because there's 2 or 3 tasks I've got to consider before I could just bung the wheel in. Well, now with the front, you can imagine a standard process. If you were putting another 17-inch wheel in there like that one, it's just swap the disc over and bung it in, job done. But in this case, we're not putting a 19-inch front wheel in this where there's currently a 17, and that immediately brings a consideration for the mudguard, whether or not the larger diameter wheel is going to hit the mudguard. Now, going from a 17-inch wheel to a 19-inch, 2 extra inches means 1 inch goes downwards below the axle and 1 comes upwards above it. So this top circumference here is going to be 1 inch higher once it's fitted. And the gap there is about 1.5 inches, meaning I'm going to have around 1/2 inch gap between the mudguard and the surface of the tyre. And that's dangerous on so many levels. The factory sets a gap that it deems is safe for any debris to pass underneath the mudguard and spit out the front cleanly, especially on a bike that might be a scrambler and go on uneven surfaces. And actually, when we have a grope round underneath here, on this particular mudguard, there's a big fat metal brace underneath there that I can feel it sticks down at least 1/2 inch. So actually the gap that's really there is probably more like 1 inch. So if I put my 19-inch on the front, you find it might just touch and not turn at all. So I've got to lift this mudguard up, I would say, at least by the gap that's there, preferably a little bit more because it's a scrambler vibe that I'm visually going for. So this, if it sticks up a little bit more and there's more of a gap, say 2 inches, that will look bang on. Another thing I've noticed that's really fortunate and it's going to play right along with us is that this mudguard is flatter. It's a shallower curve than the 17-inch wheel would normally have because this is a variant. It's only the Legend has a 17-inch front wheel. The Thunderbird has an 18-inch front wheel, and I think so does the Adventurer. So, of course, that mudguard's probably universal to all 4 variants. Why have a different one? And the curvature of it is more suited to a bigger wheel. So that's going to play right into what we want. My 19-inch wheel is going to follow that curve of this mudguard absolutely perfectly. All I need to do is lift it up a little bit, which is a fabricating job. And we'll get to that when we get to it, because today I want to do the rear first, because that needs a painting job of all things. Now, the painting job in question is here on the hub. If you're looking closely, the actual hub itself is black powder coated because this is an aftermarket wheel that a previous owner has had a hub of some origin laced into a 5-inch wheel, which is pretty much what I've done. I've got myself another hub and had it laced into a 5-inch wheel, right the same as this, but the carrier for the sprocket here is still the original silver colour. And by the feel of it, it's silver powder coated or maybe even silver painted. But as you can see, I've got a black hub and a silver sprocket carrier, and that simply won't do. Now, okay, maybe I'm being a little bit fussy there, but why not? I put an awful lot of investment into those new wheels and I want them to look absolutely dead right. And as you can see, just by looking at it, it looks a little bit unfinished. And why not get it right? So today's task, pretty straightforward. Pull the wheel out, throw a cover over the rest of the bike, take the sprocket off, pull the hub out and deal with it. All right, first tool, 5mm Allen key. Got it. Time-honoured practice when you're taking anything apart, always, if you can, put the bolts back in the holes they come from, and that way you don't lose them. Now normally with a chain that's going in the bin, which this one is, I just cut it off with a disc at this point, pull it out and bin it. But I'm going to use it by wrapping it around the back axle to hold the front sprocket still when I change that. And I'm not changing that just yet. So instead of cutting it and then not having it to use when I need it, I'm just going to put it out to one side just for now. Now here's a little thing you might have come across. In these situations where you've got the adjuster screws that push the axle back and tension the chain, there's a lock nut and the bolt itself that you have to hold still. And in this case, the head of the bolt that pushes on the axle to push it backwards, that's 13mm, but also so is the lock nut. So you need a 13mm for that and a 13mm for that, which is pretty rubbish factory design. Why not put a 13 and a 12? Two different size nuts, because when you buy yourself a set of combination spanners, where in a job like this where you're going to need two at the same time, you're not going to have two of the same thing unless you have to go out and buy it. And that is exactly the kind of example of why the old saying exists that engineers hate mechanics. And for what it's worth, Harley-Davidson think that through already. If you look at the bottle screw adjuster on the clutch cable on practically any older Harley, that is a 9/16 and a 1/2 inch for the jam nut. So it works, and they've obviously thought it through. But to get around this today, if you want to, you can use a 13 and a 1/2 inch on the other one. It works. It saves you buying two sets of spanners. 1/2 inch.
Four.
24mm. 24. Let's see if you're right. There you go. Try it.
Thank you. Look at that.
Hey. And not just a pretty face then.
Spent too many years in the garage.
Yeah. Too many? Can't spend too many. Give it a twist, which just backs the pads off a little bit, and then lift it clear. Just get a little bungee net and just hook it up out of the way. There we go, safe, out of harm's way. And loosen the clamp so it can move. Space is safe. Back in there. And even if you're doing this to take your wheel out for any reason, it doesn't hurt, protect your swinging arm if you're going to drop the chain down against it. Now I've lost count of the amount of times I've had messages through comments that the back wheel won't go in someone's bike, Sportster, whatever it might be, because they don't know what order the spacers go in, they've scattered all over the bench or the floor, and they can't remember which one goes where. If you do this, put it all in the exact order it came apart and leave it screwed in place, job done, you'll never have that issue. That's it. Right, there we are. That's liberated the part that I need to paint. It's not absolutely filthy, hanging with grease all over it. It doesn't need to go in the parts washer. I do need, though, however, to at least degrease all the sticky fingerprints off it that I've put on, so I can start keying it up, ready for paint. Right, fresh clean gloves, so I don't put any more sticky prints on it. Isopropyl alcohol, which will get everything off that's not solid, such as paint. All the grease that's in there, I want to get the whole lot off. Fresh paper, set to. Final little touch. Okay, 2 hours to get to that point, ready for paint. And I guess that's quite a long time, but you can never spend too long in the prep, can you? We all know that the quality of your paint finish is all in the prep and nothing else. It doesn't matter how good you are at laying the paint on, if it's crap underneath, it will be crap when it's finished. Which means the usual drill: 1 tack coat, 2 full wet coats, turn off the lights, walk out the door, and hold fingers crossed for a good result tomorrow. So I'll say at this point, thank you for watching. Take it easy, ride safe. I'll see you next time.